Okay, I wanted to do something, well, because Patreons wanted, we're talking about dialogue systems and localization. So I made a little scene here, and I have a little point and click character. I know it's insanely exciting. And I have this little cylinder here that does nothing. But that's not what this is about. I want to build a dialogue system. So, and I got my puzzler out when the question was thought, and I thought, okay, how would you do a dialogue system with localization? And you could do numerous ways. A spreadsheet method might be a good way. Thought about it, but I thought scriptable objects might be a nice clean way, nice easy way to do it. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to make scriptable objects, and it's going to be simple, and I'm going to show you how we do that. And then to boot, for my Patreons, I'm going to put the logic I make there into my Patreon channel, so they'll see how you make it, but you can just get it from the Patreon Discord if you're a Patreon. If you're not, yeah, well, make it yourself. So what's the first thing we're going to need? So I think we're going to have, let's set up a little bit of a quest system first. And like I said, I have this cylinder here, and I have this little box over here. Which apparently, I don't know where oh, the scale is 0. Right. And that's going to be a quest. Go see the box. I know, it's genius. And I also have a question mark. So to get all those, I was thinking about it. I don't want to use a bool for the quest. Is the quest complete, true or false? Yeah, there's a little more to quests. So I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to go into the enum creator wizard. I love my enums. If you don't have it, go in the ecosystem and get array maker. It comes with it. If you don't know what an enum is, it's kind of like a multi-sided bool. So we're going to call this one quest state. So quests have they can be not started. Oh, we can't have spaces. Getting big red errors. They have started, and they have, say, complete or completed. So it's kind of like a bool, but there's 3 sides, not 2, which is why I didn't want to use bools. Because if we talk to the cube or talk to the NPC and it's not started, we want certain dialogue to pop up. If it is started, we want different dialogue to pop up, and if the quest is completed, we want a third different dialogue to pop up. Alright, so now we have that. Okay, so what are we going to do? We need a place to put quests. So we're going to make a quest manager, and we're just going to stick it up here and add a let's do a hash table. We'll call it quests, and we'll pre-fill it. And it can't take enums, unfortunately. I think you can force it, but we will do strings, and we're going to have one quest. The key is going to be go to box, and the reason why strings, now we just did enums, so what we need is to put the state of the quest, and I need to spell it just right, not started, right, because it's not started. So on our cylinder, this guy, our little NPC, he needs have a bit of logic where we need to read that. So I'm going to need an FSM because I need this thing to be a globalized manager. So we're going to get owner, stored as a global variable, and we'll call it quest manager. Go back into our cylinder, and I'm going to do a next frame because I can't find the global in the first frame. So we just do a little bit next frame to delay that. Alright, so this guy needs a quest. So I could use a compare in here so it's very simple. For example, we have, let's say, our quest. We can stick it out here. So what we need to do is get FSM, nope, hash table get. And we're going to go into the manager. And the reference is called quest. And the key, I'm going to use a variable of our quest, which is going to be go to box. So I'm actually going to stuff that right in here. But and that means we can reuse this FSM on, or that FSM on all sorts of units, and we can just change that name and everything will swap for us. So it is going to be a type string. That is the incoming string quest. I want to now convert that to enum because I like working with enums. We're going to convert that guy. We need to choose our type. So anytime you create an enum, they're going to go in your com, my game, and quest state. Alright, so it's going to store in a variable. We're going to call it current quest state. There we go. And just to test to see if that's working, let's go over here and swap this over to completed. Now if I hit start, it should read this and change that. Right, so we go into the manager in this guy after the next frame. So we found the manager, we found the string, we convert not started to not started, and we can see we are not started. Perfect. Things are working just fine. So now that we have that, we're going to do enum switch. Make sure it's at the bottom. And we're gonna actually, you know what, I'm just gonna use the variable because it'll auto fill that part for me. And we have three things. We have started and we have completed. So not started, started, and completed. So now we have three different things. Yeah, you know what? We'll go with this way. We have our three different states. If we are not started, I want to make sure my little question mark I have here is active. And if we're started, I want to make sure he is deactive, and if he's completed, he is also deactive. And then the other thing is my little cube here. I'm just going to drag him over, and let's make sure he is deactivated in all of these. There we go. So now we should see our little guy should have a question mark when we hit play. Now if it was started, he wouldn't have the question mark, but we'd have the box. Alright, cool. So that's still working. Now, we need a way to interact with this guy and this guy to have a conversation with us. So let's over here make an event called interact. There we go. And in my player, I've already got the logic kind of just point and click. I mean, it's not a big deal how we get here. But anyways, the point is, from the player, if I click on the train, I move there. If I click on this guy, I want to interact with it. So the first thing I want to do is get distance to the object I clicked on, which is my hit object. Get the distance. And if we're too far, so float compare the distance to, I don't know, say 3.5. If we're less, we're good. And if we're greater, we're bad. So bad will just go back. But if we're good, then we can send an event to our little object that we hit to interact. That's our hit object there. And then from there I will go back. There we go. So if we see I click on him, nothing happens. I move closer and click on him, we can now interact. Alright, so we have interaction happening. So we need the dialogue part. Let's do a canvas and set that to scale with screen size. I'm just going to pump those numbers in. Alright, that's good. So we need a spot for where we want our text to go. And I am just going to line this up down here. Yeah, all the way across the screen is probably fine. And we can make it any color we want. I'll maybe change the opacity a bit. And then we would have the actual text field. I'll use Text Mesh Pro because I know everybody likes it, and it's a nice text mesh for text. And let's go up here. And yeah, there we go. I don't know why I have it green. We should probably fix that now. Okay, I'll just use that one. That one looks better. Alright. So, we have our text field. So we need a way to display this panel, because we obviously don't want it active the whole time, and when it's active, you know, it's going to display text. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add an FSM on the canvas, and we're going to get owner. So again, we can access this thing. As a global. So this guy is going to, what's he going to do? Because he's going to have an event called, we'll call it start chat. And when we get start chat, we're going to activate this panel. And we'd also need to set this text. So I can probably set that here. And just as a reminder, make sure if you're using TextMax Pro to be using the UGI text, or else you'll have errors. There's two of them, the other one's plague upon the Discord channel. So this is going to be our new chat, which is empty. So that means we need to get the data somehow. So we're going to call this chat, and it is type string stored as new chat. So we're going to get an event, pull the property out, activate the panel, and load that up. but that's kind of an ugly way to do it. On the ecosystem, there's also a thing called string typewriter, which means we can take this new chat, and this can be our result, and we can give it a time, punctuation. There's also audio if you want little sounds into the audio. For example, we could do I don't know if I have a subtle sound. That'll work. And this thing needs an audio source. So stick it there. And now we don't want to set the new chat. We actually want to set the result. And the result gets built, which also means we need to set it every frame. Alright. So that is good. So this guy, if we're going to interact with him, what do we need? Well, we need more or less this same state, only without the hash table get. We don't need that, we just need the enum switch. Get rid of this one. Right, so if we are not started, we need to set event properties, chat type string to, we're just going to call it chat, and send event. To start chat, and that's going to be our chat manager right there. There we go. So we're going to send that there, and I'm just going to duplicate this state for these guys for now. Whoops, just screwing shit up. Right. So, I mean, chat, like, for example, if I just say, actually, you know what, screw the hello world, like and subscribe. There, that's a more suiting thing. Alright. So once again, if I click on them, nothing happens. come along over here, I click like and subscribe. Perfect. Cool. It works. Now, we need different chats in here, and we also need to have localization. Fun stuff. So, how do we do that part? Like I said, now this is where I found, or I think scriptable objects and a custom action will really help keep things clean, neat, tidy, and flexible, easy to use. I can just keep going with positive remarks on it, but I won't. Let's just create a new script. So let's call this our new text stuff script. So this part might look scary, and it's not. It will be really, really simple. Very, very simple. Scriptable objects, I find, when it comes to the coding end of things, they're actually really light. So even someone without any coding should be able to stumble their way through a scriptable object. And they're so powerful. Unlike, apparently, my computer. It's just taking forever to load this stupid thing. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we don't need any of this crap. Get rid of all that crap. And this isn't a mono behavior. This is a scriptable object, which means we need a way to access it. So we need to create asset menu, which gives us a file name, and it's going to be new chat. Well, that's what we'll call it. And then we can give it a menu name too if you really want. If you want to keep things fancy, I'll just call that the same name. Fuck it. Alright, so there we have this. So we could just literally put a string in here, and that could be the dialogue. It could be that simple. We don't want to do that. What we want to do instead, so we're going to do a public string, and we're going to call this English. And I don't feel like going to Google and translating a bunch of other languages right now. I can do French. I might know French. I can be like bonjour, but I won't do that. We'll do game dev language. It's a made up language. I just made it up, and we're going to take those two strings. So logic wise, how do we choose which one? And what we're going to do is I'm actually going to put a public string again, just like those ones, and this is we'll call it some other name like chosen string, and we're going to put those behind it and go like that. So it's going to give this a stupid little error saying, hey, what the hell? So what it needs to do is we need a switch, just like it is in Playmaker, and we're going to switch based on a value, which we need to give this thing a value. So we're going to give a string, and I don't know why I'm doing anything on languages. I can't even type a language. So anyways, we're going to switch on this language. So all it is case and English, only we don't want the actual variable, we want the word. And then the little colon guy, and then we're going to return the actual English variable. And I can literally copy this whole thing and just paste it here. Only now let's go game dev, and then we can return game dev. Now it's still saying like, oh, we don't have, not all codes return a pass. So we're going to we're gonna after the switch, so after this guy, we're just gonna return. We'll return English as a default. If you don't want to, you could also go like that and return null. But we'll just return English as our default language. That's it. So you could have like this, like, you know, whatever, put as many different languages in here as you want, right? And same here. So we're going to save that. Now this, because it's a scriptable object, when we create it, we can now create hundreds of these things. It won't matter. And if I right click in here, I can now go create a new chat. So we could say this could be, you know, guy not started, and we can just duplicate them and go guy started, duplicate them again, and guy completed. So now we have our different slots here. So okay, if we are not started, go to the box. So in game dev language, let's go, I don't know, vector array console. That means the same thing in my new language. And if it's started, you still haven't gone there. Float bool. Stupid. Right? And completed. Thanks. Error. There we go. So we have our two different languages, and these, like I said, you could literally make an entire list of these languages. So now, because we want to interact with this thing in an easy aspect, in an easy way here, let's do one extra little step here and go create, go way down to the bottom. Yours probably won't be this long, mine's thing is full of crap. So I'm going to create a new custom variable type definition, and this is a name. We're going to call this our chat, and the type is this what this script is called, right? So I'm just going to take his whole name, copy that, and paste it right there. So now, if I go into here, I can pop over here and see we have a variable called chat. So let's say not started, and let's just drag him in there, and started, and completed. So I can now just drag in, there's the completed, not started, and started. Alright, cool. So we come along here and we say, okay, well, if we're not started, we need to pull that data out and stick it in here. Well, what the hell? We have no way of doing that. I have a variable. So we're just very quickly going to do a custom action, and we're going to say, we'll call it, say, get chat. And you can put it in any folder you want. You can name your own folder. I always call mine broken for whatever stupid reason. And there we go. Pretty simple, right? So we're not doing much. All we're going to do is public FSM. Oh, my thing's not string. So this is our Okay, well, whatever. I can't spell. Screw me. So we got that. So the other thing we need is a public new text stuff. So we need that scriptable object we just made. We need that. But we don't want to necessarily do that. We need a FSM, but the FSM doesn't have a new text stuff, but they do have an object, which is our chat object. So we're up here. I'm going to put a little bracket up, that kind of bracket, and go object type. It's a type of new text stuff, and this is just a way to tell this guy that he has to be this type. Has to be. He's not allowed to be anything else. He has to be that. Alright, so then the other thing we're going to need is a public FSM string, and this is the returned string. So all we need to do is pull the data out of this guy, stick it in this guy, based on the language on him. So what are we going to do? We're going to say new text stuff. We'll just call it n equals our chat object dot value. That's going to give us an error because we need to what's called casted new text stuff, and it's done just like that. So then we can say our returned string dot value equals n dot chosen string, which is a method, but the method wants a language, so we're going to put that in. Man, look how bad I spelled language. That's horrible. I'd go back to school, but I don't think they let me in. But yeah, so we're gonna take the language, and we're gonna say, give me the chosen string with this language, and it's gonna give us the returned, essentially. Fingers open. So now we get into our little guy here, and we can now go to our little folder that automatically gets made. I got a whole pile of crap, so don't mind my stuff. And we called it get chat. So I'm going to put this right at the top. So we need a language, and that language is actually going to be a new variable. I still think I spelled that wrong. At this point in time, I don't care. And this one's going to be the not started, and we're going to store it as our chat, because that's what we're going to send over. So I can literally copy that, paste it here, but now it's not going to be the not started. We want the started. And paste before, and this one's the completed. There we go. Now, language. How are we going to do the language? Right? So it said this is a global variable. So let's just very quickly make two little buttons. Button, button, who has my button? We're going to stick one up here, and we'll call this one English. Without the, I don't even know if I spelled that right. And we'll call this one Game Dev. I don't know why I keep hitting enter. It's such a force of habit. So I am going to put in this guy, in the very beginning, we are going to set string value. And this could be a saved value, by the way. I'm just going to not do it saved because I'm lazy. And it's going to be English. Damn it.
All right.
Now, so what do we need here is we need a spot for this to sit, where we need a button array, because this is just the way I like to do my buttons. I tend to keep them all in one little spot. So we have English and we have the game dev, and we don't have 3, we only have 2. So English, game dev. So if we go English, we're going to essentially do this exact same thing. Finish, go over here. If we go over here, then we're going to want this to be game dev. All right. Well, let's just take a quick little look and make sure that's working. So if I click English, it should be English. If I click the other one, it's now game dev. And if I go to my cylinder, right, so we're in English. Well, let's see. Well, it's probably because he's not running yet. So let's just go over and test that. There we go. Now that obviously needs a way to end. So let's just reboot him. And let's okay, we have to we obviously need to do a little more work on that and just get that to loop. But whatever. So let's go here. So that, I don't know if that actually went through. Language. Why is that not? You would think that would, I think I messed that up. Oh yeah, because we said it there. Oh my lord. That is a dumb mistake if I've ever seen one. There we go. I obviously can't set it to one language and then instantly set it back to the other language, and it's just silly. Alright, so now that should look a little different. Alright, so now it's game dev. English, game dev. Cool, so that's all changing, right? So we're in game dev now. If I come over here, we're going to see our other language. Just like that. Perfect. So now we have a bit of a localization happening here. So the other thing we're going to want is once this gets sent over, because he's now sent the event, we need for this to kind of do something other than just sit here. So I'm going to say started. And then this guy, if he's started, well, he can actually just sit there. Those ones can just sit there. Actually, you know what? He doesn't even need to do that. All he has to do now really is set enum value. So our enum variable of current quest state can now be started if we're in this guy. So that also means in our little manager here, get this crap out of here, and so we do our typewriter. It does all this fun stuff. When this is done, we're going to use our finished event as shown text. So we're going to come over here, and all we're going to do for now is deactivate the panel. Pretty simple. So we come over here. Whoa. So it's very, very quick. So that needs some sort of delay. So let's put a delay there. You could also have a mouse click on this thing happening too. Or you can literally just wait for a mouse click. How about we do that? That might be fun. So let's get rid of that, and instead close chat. There. That's kind of that'll be a better option, I think. There we go. Because then all we have to do is I'm going to go to the actual text window here, and we should have extra settings. Let's turn raycast off, but on the panel where we have raycast, let's add a little FSM here. And all we're going to do is we're just going to add a little system event for, nope, we're going to add a UI event, sorry, on pointer down. So if that happens, let's just send event for now over to this guy to close chat, and that could just go back to the manager. What do we call this guy? The chat manager. All right. We come along and we say, we click and it goes. Now you'd almost want to put something to stop the movement also happening, but I'm not really worried about that right now. So what's the other thing we need to do is, if we have not started, we have shown all of this, we've set it to started. I want this cube to, so that's the actual quest, is to go to this cube. So I'm just going to actually activate him like that. Alright, so the other thing that we're going to want to do is, actually, you know what, we probably don't even need to activate that cube. We could have that cube take care of itself. Hash table set. So kind of like what it was up here. Is we want the key, which is our quest, and it is type string, and it can now be I started. There we go. So that's now running. We can activate our cube. Our cube just doesn't really do anything, so let's give him stuff to do. So let's go not do whatever I just did. Let's add a trigger event. So trigger event, I don't care about any of that. Let's just do something. All we're going to do is the key is that same key, and we're now going to set that to completed, and then we might as well deactivate ourselves. Nope, not a fucking array. There we go, deactivate self. We got a special action just for it. There we go. Let's go in the game dev language. Oh, hash table not found. So apparently I named it something wrong. Okay, well, we have an issue here. Hash table not found. So what did I do with hash table? Probably this guy here, and use owner. That would be it. So this is the quest manager. And that error caused all sorts of bad things to happen. So let's check that out now. We go English, go to the box. Oh, that's the guy that's not finding the hash table. This guy right there, because I also used owner on him. There we go. So now he should be happy. Let's go game dev, vector array. See, and if I want, I should be able to switch it to English. So that's in game dev. Alright, so that's because if we want to switch this on the fly, that needs to end up back over here. So anyways, we now come over there, we grab that, and he is still apparently pissed off. So we said interact, it is started. Cube, let's see what he says, because he sent completed. So our manager says completed. So everything there is good. He is not pulling that, and that's what we need to do. Alright, so a couple little things to fix. We need to get these every time, which is fine. That's whatever, not a big deal. The other thing that this guy needs to do, so that we can switch on the fly, we don't need that, is he needs to head back to that button. That's all he needs to do. And then we can change languages all we want, whether it's by a slider, button, whatever option menu you possibly want. See, go to box. Okay, so let's go to game dev mode. Error. Go back to English. Oh yeah, we still haven't gone there. Okay, we'll go there now. Oh, there we go. We come along. And he says thanks. What does he say in game dev language? Oh, bull stupid, thanks. You're awesome. Alright, so, I mean, obviously there's still some things there. The guy's question mark needs to go down. I'm not really too worried about that. I mean, there's tons of things we can do. So what if you want numerous lines though, right? How does that look? Because that's great. Everything's working. It's with localization, but it's only based on one line, right? I mean, it changes based on the state of something, but still, it's one line. So how do we get that? So these obviously need to change. Those need to be an array. Oh man, now we have arrays, right? So really, it's not going to take very much to go, and you can put 50 different lines if we wanted to, but now we have the system put in place. And to make these arrays, I'm just going to go like that. And this is going to feed back an array, right? So now they're all arrays. That's all we had to do there. So that screws this thing up though, because this thing is not an array. So this guy now needs to be a FSM array. Which the returned value, return string dot set values how do we want to do that? You know what? We might have to go something like stupid thing. Okay, so let's. Okay, this will just be a little complex now. So for int I equals 0. So I equals 0. This is how we do an array inside a script. Okay. So we need this thing here is going to be an array. So let's make string array. We'll just call temp equals this guy. So temp dot length. Oops. So as long as I is less than temp dot length, I plus plus. So all that's saying is if there's two things in the array, we're going to run whatever the code this is here like twice. You know, if there's 10 things in the array, it's going to run it 10 times. And same thing with arrays, This is how we do it in that. So what we need to do is return string, type there, cast float values, int values, raw values, clear, where is it? Insert is none. Resize, that's what I'm looking for. So resize. And this also, we don't need to have this, it doesn't need to happen up here. This can happen outside of this part. So the resize needs an integer. How big is this array? Well, this array is temp.length, right? This array needs to be the same size as this array. So now return string dot values. Oh, there we go. Set value. That's what I'm looking for. So we need to set a value. We need to give the value of temp I, and the index is I. So more or less we're going to loop through the one array that we gotten from our temp. Whatever string is at that index, we're going to come over here to the returned string array and just stuff it in. We're just transferring them over one by one. That's all we're doing. Most complex thing we're going to be doing, swear to God. No more. So we'll close that. So that gives us one little issue though, is we're not sending an array to our manager. Right, so we need to fix that. So we come trucking along. And it did not like what I did there. So this guy needs things not done loading. Array editor, variable type, string. That should clear this little alarm. There we go. So now we have a returned all chats. Pretty fancy, right? So that we can do that for all of them. There we go. And this guy now needs to transfer over an array. Oh. Wow, did he not like that? Alright, whoa, he did, yeah, he definitely did not like that. That is odd. Let's just set that there. Let's go to array. No, it did not like that. So what are we going to do then? We are going to set a object, and we will send a new text stuff. There we go. We're going to send the start. We're just going to send the actual whole bloody thing and pull it out over there. Skip that, right? So that means this guy can be that same thing. And he is the completed. And this guy is, screw it, we're just going to delete him because he's apparently dead. So we're not going to use the get chats on this end. We'll move that over to the canvas side. So this is the not started, started, and completed. So because the properties apparently does not like dealing with an array, which whatever, fine, so be it. But it will deal with an object. So we are lucky because it will still work. God. So so we get this object. So that means we now need to get chat in this guy. And we have the language. And we have our chat, and this is going to be all our chats. So what does that mean for us? That means we want to come out of here and change this little portion, because what we need to do now is actually loop through that array. Right, go through our array, and we have our loop and done. So we have our current. So when we loop, that's actually when we want to do the typewriter and the set. Just drop them over there. The activate panel, that's fine here, and we can now do a finished on this guy, and because we know it's already quick, we know it's quick, right? We've already seen that. So let's just give it a 0.75 seconds to finish, and then go in there. And then when it's done, I'll just go sit idly by and get the next one, right? So it's going to loop back and forth. So the base string is now the current, and we will set it. So these guys, apparently I've preset a whole crap load of things. Shouldn't be. So go to box, or no, let's start with, hey you, can you go to the box? And let's go down here and say vector array hash. Right, so that should be, I won't bother with the other ones. I mean, we already know that the system itself works. We just need to turn it into an array. So we come along and we know we're in English. We click, hey you, can you go to the box? Sure. Right? And it's now started. So now it's gonna screw up because there's, or it should screw up. But now we have as many lines as we want. So we can make, like I said, we can make as many of these as we want. We can go game dev, and we can change the language. Vector array hash. right? Okay, cool. So let's go back to our capsule, because now we know. Now our capsule, our cylinder, is this guy, except he's not started. At this point in time, he now needs to set hash table set to the quest manager quest, and the key is our quest. It is type string and started. All right, so now if we are started, let's go. There we go. So now we also need to, because said we were going to do that, and because I deleted it, we now need to reactivate that guy. There we go. Now we have, we click, well, yes I can, and if I come back, well, that's not very nice, but I can change languages mid-time, and everything works. And if I come along here, that will change. Now we should have a whole whack of errors because we haven't filled out the other ones, right? Because it's like, oh my god, we're on the completed, but the completed's all blanks. But anyways, point is, it works. Everything works. Slight editing on the video because I screwed up a couple things, but whatever. We got there in the end, you know? So, like I said, scriptable objects, and like we could make those, we could interchange those. This guy, he has his interact. We could easily put a bool or something in here and have him set to numerous quests. He can have like 10 different quests, right? He can have his own enum on what stage he's on for various quests. Whatever the case is, either way, we can have an entire conversation set up this way, right? And we just tell him, you know, this is what you're talking about. And you could have other states. You could have, if we wanted to put this a bit more into the random, I mean, we can make two started, and in here actually run a random choice, and you know, he can choose between two different ones. Whatever the case is, don't matter. Point is, here's a nice little chat or a system that well, it takes probably about an hour to set up, maybe a little longer if you have to watch the video a few times. It'd be quicker if I would stop yapping about dumb stuff, but it works, right? So now there's a bunch of other things that we could do if I really wanted to push this thing forward, in the ways of I should lock my player movement or whatever. Not worried about any of that crap though. This is the dialogue system, right? And we have it based on a mouse click. That could be based on a button click. We could have options down there, and again, I won't get into that right now. I think for a video, this has probably been a long video, and it's a crap load of information into it, so hopefully it's not too much. I mean, I don't want to overwhelm you too hard. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to put this script and the action we made into a little package onto my Discord for my Patreon members. So you can, following the tutorial, you can build this on your own. Cool. great, everything works. And if you're a Patreon member, then a bit of a shortcut because you can just take these and run with it. So anyways, there we go. Hopefully that was good.